Hi again, I'm Tucker Balch, and this is Computational Investing Part 1. We're going to continue talking about the mechanics of the market. So when we left off last time, we were talking about the order book. It's a little bit tricky, so I wanted to cover it just a little bit more one more time. All of these ask prices are what are people who want to sell, and these are prices that they want to get. All of these bid prices are folks who want to buy, and these are the prices that they're willing to pay. And again, this difference here is called the spread. I wanted to give one more example of what happens when someone makes a market order. Let's say we make a market order to sell 150 shares. Well, they come in here. This is a market order. You're selling. The highest price someone's willing to pay is $99.95. So you get those 100 shares at $99.95. But you wanted 150, so those are gone. We go back down to the next price, and you get another 50 shares at $99.90. So your average price is between $99.90 and $99.95. And as you can see, that caused the price to drop, and now the only the highest available bid is now only $99.85. Same thing happens, but in the other direction when people look to buy. Now, one thing to look at here is if you look at this order book, look, there's a lot more people trying to sell here than buy, and that means if we could observe this directly, if we had computers at the exchange and we could see this directly, we might predict the price is going to go down, and that's what high frequency trading is about. Okay, let's now come back to how are brokers connected to exchanges, and again a little bit about how computers are involved here. Okay, let's say this is a New York Stock Exchange. This is you, trader, with your computer, and you're making orders. And here's your broker. Well, something that you may not know is that it's not always the case that your order makes it all the way to the exchange to be traded. In fact, in many cases, orders are fulfilled within the broker. Here's how that works. Let's suppose you want to buy IBM at a certain price. Let's say you issued a limit order to buy IBM at $100. You want to buy 100 shares. And let's say that there's someone at your broker, some other trader, who's willing to sell 100 IBM at $100. Well, the broker may take those two, pair them, and settle the trade right there. Why? Why don't they send it to the exchange? Well, for one reason, it costs them money to have the exchange execute the order. The other is sometimes they're able to make some money. For instance, in the case of what if this person who's selling IBM is quite happy to sell it at $99.90? Okay, well, what the broker does is the broker pays them $99.90 for those shares. Then they sell them to you at 100, and they make 10 cents. And they didn't have to do anything but facilitate this trade. So That's an important thing to know about brokers. There are furthermore sometimes so these are brokers. It's not, and this is New York Stock Exchange. It's not at all uncommon that there's yet another layer between. Here's you trying to make your trade. Yet another layer between the traders and the exchanges called market makers, and the brokers may pass those orders onto the market makers, and they fulfill them internally. So it actually in many cases doesn't even happen that a trade makes it all the way to the exchange before it's fulfilled. There are several steps along the way of folks who can potentially profit by making the trade for you before it gets there. Okay, now if you have, well, one thing I want to say is at the exchange only accepts these very basic types of orders: buy, sell, market, and limit. There are, as you may be aware, there are many more complex types of trades that can occur, and your broker is the key to making those happen. One very important type of trade is something called selling short. What selling short is it's a bet against a stock. It means you think it's going to go down. I'll explain the details about how that works in just a minute. There are other more complex orders, like for instance, you can tell your broker, look, if the price drops more than 10%, I want you to put in a market order. And the way that's implemented is your broker, of course, they've got computers. They're watching the market all the time. If the price drops below that level, they put in the market order for you. All of these sort of more sophisticated types of orders require the broker to be involved. But there's many sorts of interesting complex orders that you can create using a good broker. Okay, let me talk now about short selling. It turns out it's a little bit complex, but it's important to understand how it happens. Shorting a stock means you believe it's going to go down, and the mechanics of let's say we want to sell short IBM. We want to do 100 shares at $100. Okay. What happens is first you borrow these 100 shares from someone. We'll talk about who in just a minute. Now you've got 100 shares. You immediately sell them at $100, and you get, because you're selling 100 at $100, you get $10,000 in cash right away. So now, after that occurs, you've got two things. You've got $10,000 in cash, but you have an obligation to someone to return to them at some point in the future this 100 shares. Let me draw that out a little bit. Here's you. Here's somebody who has 100 shares of IBM, and you want to, and let's say this is the market. Okay, so you borrow the shares. You immediately sell them on the market. So these 100 shares are lent to you. You sell them on the market. You now have $10,000 in cash. He doesn't have the shares anymore, but you owe him 100 shares of IBM. Okay, so you've got $10,000 in cash, and you owe him 100 shares. Let's suppose the price of IBM drops to $99. Okay, you still have this $10,000 in cash. You still owe him 100 shares, but now those 100 shares only worth $9,900. So this cash minus that liability means you just made $100. And in fact, for every dollar that the market price goes down, you make $100 on this transaction. Eventually, when you close the position, you go to the market, buy the shares back, give them back to him, and you're left over with your net profit. Now, if the stock goes up, sad story. Each dollar it goes up, you lose $100. So of course you need to be careful about that kind of bet. And one thing to point out is there's a maximum amount you can make. If the stock goes all the way to zero, you get to keep that $10,000 and you never have to give him back the stock. So you can make up to $10,000. However, there's an unlimited downside. If the stock goes up to 200, now you've lost $10,000. If it goes up to 300, you've lost $20,000. As long as it keeps going up, you can keep losing money. So shorting stock can be somewhat risky. Okay, that's stock shorting, and we'll talk a little bit more about the mechanics of the market in the next video.